The Orphanage Massacre. The St. Aurora human orphan haven floated quietly above the sapphire-blue world of Lumen 4, cradled in a gentle orbit that gave the children below a view of endless stars. The structure, sleek, silver, and shaped like two hands cupped together, had been built after the last border conflict. Humanity wanted its most vulnerable to have somewhere safe in the galaxy, somewhere untouched by politics and war. Director Mara Voss watched the children through her office window, her arms folded behind her back. Their laughter rose through the halls, bright and unfiltered. A small smile tugged at the corner of her mouth. It was rare for a veteran of 2 wars to feel peace, but here, surrounded by children who had already survived too much, she had finally found it. Aiden, the youngest, darted past her doorway, chasing a hovering toy drone. He skidded to a halt when he saw her. Director Voss, "Look, I finally fixed the gyro," he announced proudly, holding up the tiny device. Mara crouched to his eye level. "I knew you would. You've got a mind sharper than half the engineers I served with." Aiden beamed, then raced away again, laughter echoing down the corridor. Mara's smile faded slowly. If only the galaxy were as kind as the walls she kept around these children. Far beyond St. Aurora's orbit, a fleet moved in silent formation. 5 Imperial cruisers, their hulls engraved with angular sigils of the Galactic Empire of Xyrith. At their center flew the flagship Crucible, commanded by Rel Tarkon. Tarkon stood rigid on his bridge, a man carved from the same steel as his ship. His eyes were cold, calculating. He reviewed the reconnaissance image sent hours earlier. St. Aurora Haven, misidentified deliberately by Imperial intelligence as a forward military outpost hosting human insurgents. He knew it wasn't true. He also didn't care. "Commander," his communications officer said, "the High Council confirms. Proceed with the strike. No survivors." Tarkon nodded once. He felt no pride, no hesitation. Humanity was growing too fast, too ambitious. Crushing their hope, starting with their young, was simply efficient. "Prepare the lance cannons," he ordered. "Target the primary structure." Back at St. Aurora, Mara Voss felt the station tremble before alarms fully lit the halls. Her instincts, drilled into her across decades of war, activated instantly. All staff were trained, but she moved faster than anyone. "Emergency protocol. Evac pods online," she shouted through the intercom. Her voice, steady but fierce, cut through the rising panic. Children poured into the corridors, confused, frightened. Mara began guiding them into the evacuation wing. Another tremor, then another. "Director, what's happening?" one of her aides asked, fear widening her eyes. Mara didn't lie. "It's an attack." The aide swallowed hard, but continued hurting children. Mara's focus fixed on Aiden, who lingered at a viewport, staring at the distant specks of incoming ships. "They're not ours," he whispered. "No," Mara said gently as she pulled him back. "But I need you to be brave one more time, all right?" Aiden nodded, though his small hand shook. In the command deck, she activated the distress beacon, broadcasting the station's identity, its civilian status, its coordinates, everything necessary for the galaxy to know what was happening. Then she saw the incoming trajectory lines. 30 seconds until impact. Her pulse quickened, but she would not panic. "Mara," a trembling voice asked. It was Aiden again, holding her sleeve. She looked down. He wasn't asking for comfort. He was offering something. "My drone, it can record." His voice wavered. If something happens, someone should know what they did." The child's courage hit her harder than any enemy fire. "Activate it," she said. The drone's tiny lens blinked blue. Across the void, Commander Tarkon watched the targeting crosshairs lock onto the orphanage. He lifted his hand. Fire. The beam struck St. Aurora before most sensors registered the impact. The station's left wing vaporized instantly. The hull split like paper. Alarms screamed. Metal shrieked. Gravity failed. Children tumbled. Lights died. Mara grabbed Aiden, shielding him with her body as she pushed him toward the last pod. But when the ceiling ruptured, the force tore her away. Aiden fell forward, crashing into the pod's threshold. The drone beside him flickered but continued recording. He looked back through the smoke and chaos. "Mara," he cried. Her mouth formed words he couldn't hear. A second blast lit the corridor white. The station disintegrated. The recording captured everything: the screams, the flames, the shattering walls, before a wave of energy consumed the orphanage completely. Aiden's final cry cut through the static. "Please, someone help." The signal burst outward into space, carried by the last functioning emergency transmitter. And across light years, in the command center of the Terran Coalition, Admiral Helena Wraith stood motionless as Aiden's message ended. Her jaw tightened, her knuckles whitened. The room was silent. Then she spoke, each word sharp as a blade. "They murdered our children. Prepare the fleet." Humanity's wrath, long restrained, awakened with a fury the stars themselves would fear. Humanity gathers its wrath. The transmission replayed again in the Sol Command War Room, though no one asked for it. The technicians could not bring themselves to turn it off. The tiny voice, trembling but brave, echoed through the chamber. "Please, someone help." Then the static. Then nothing. Admiral Helena Wraith stood unmoving at the front of the room, her gaze locked on the frozen image of Aiden's face, the last frame captured before the beam consumed him. Officers, diplomats, scientists, and militia representatives filled the semicircular arena, yet not a single soul dared speak. Finally, Helena's voice broke the silence. "Begin the briefing." General Tarek, a towering man with a practiced stoicism, stepped forward. The display shifted to show the charred void where Saint Aurora had once existed. "At 0400 hours," he said, voice tight, "an Imperial fleet under Commander Rel Tarkon crossed the Lumen border and destroyed the facility. No survivors. The station was a civilian orphanage. The Empire has declared it a military outpost. Their propaganda networks are celebrating the attack." Murmurs of outrage rippled through the gathered assembly. Helena raised a hand, and silence fell instantly. "What does the Empire expect our response to be?" she asked. General Tarek inhaled slowly. "They expect a protest, diplomatic condemnations, perhaps a skirmish or two at the border. They believe we are too fractured to retaliate meaningfully." Someone scoffed. "They think we'll bow again." Helena's jaw clenched. Her voice came calm, cold, controlled. "They are wrong." The room straightened collectively, as if gravity had intensified. A holographic map of the Milky Way replaced the image of the destroyed orphanage. A single star glowed red at its center. Zyrith Prime, the heart of the Galactic Empire. "Ladies and gentlemen," Helena said, "we have tolerated incursions. We have tolerated occupation attempts. But killing our children, that is a line no species crosses and survives." Her hand slowly extended toward the red star. "We will strike here." Gasps broke out. Someone almost dropped the datapad. That's their home system," said Counselor Rodin, voice cracking. "That's escalation beyond any war doctrine." "This is no longer doctrine," Helena replied. "This is justice." An industrial delegate rose from his seat. "Admiral, even if we agreed, which many of us do, the Zyrith system is heavily fortified. Billions live there. The Empire would interpret this as an extermination attempt." Helena looked him directly in the eyes. "It is." Silence hung heavy, suffocating. Then Helena activated a new file. The lights dimmed. A massive vessel appeared in holographic projection, sleek, angular, impossibly large. The TSV Leviathan, the pride of humanity and its most feared secret. For 40 years, Helena explained, Terran, Martian, and Jovian engineers collaborated on an answer to the Empire's superiority. Project Colossus. She paced slowly beneath the shimmering projection. 3 dreadnoughts built to reshape stellar environments. Mobile siege platforms. Weapons of last resort. The projection expanded to reveal an entire formation, the Colossus fleet. "The Empire has bullied us for generations," Helena said. "Border raids, cultural erasure, forced labor, and now they have murdered our children, claiming they were combatants." She turned sharply, "And we will erase their star system to answer them." A sharp thud broke from the assembly's left wing as Admiral Rourke slammed his fist on the table. At last, he hissed. No more restraint. Others, including pacifist factions, hesitated. Councillor Mila Vaughn stood. Admiral Wraith, are we truly prepared to carry out a system-wide extermination? Millions may be innocent. Billions had no part in this atrocity. We would be becoming the very monster we claim to fight. Helena let the words hang. Then she clicked once. The recording of Aiden played again. The child's final breath quivered through the chamber. When it ended, Helena faced Vaughn. Innocence ended the moment their empire vaporized children who had lost everything. This is not vengeance. It is a message. Humanity's children are sacred, and harming them carries a price no star can afford. No one spoke after that. The vote was held electronically. Nearly every panel lit green. Operation Final Mercy was approved. Preparations began instantly. Shipyards awakened across the Terran sphere, floodlights blazing as Titanic vessels slid from their docks. Thousands of cruisers and battle carriers rose from Neptune's orbit. Martian war factories activated their rail launch towers. Jovian forges belched fire as they assembled planet-cracking munitions. Humanity had gone to war many times, but never like this. Never with one voice. Never with one purpose. The Colossus fleet assembled over Titan, its presence so massive that Saturn's rings cast fractured shadows across its hulls. Helena stepped onto the bridge of the TSV Leviathan. The crew rose to attention, eyes burning with quiet fury. The air carried the weight of something irreversible. Her second-in-command, Captain Ilias Saren, approached. The fleet reports full readiness, he said. Over 2,000 warships await your command. And the Ares Singularity Array. Charged. Saren swallowed. If we fire it, Admiral, there's no undoing what happens. Helena stared through the viewport, watching the armada gather like a storm front. That is the point, she answered. Back in the Galactic Empire's capital, celebration erupted. They played edited footage of the Orphanage's destruction on giant plazas. Broadcasters praised Tarkhan for defeating human resistance. Crowds cheered. None knew what was coming. None imagined the humans would dare enter their system. None believed humanity had the strength. But they would. The Leviathan's engines roared to life, shaking even Titan's surface. Helena raised her hand. Set course for Zyrith Prime. The fleet aligned. Her next words became legend. Today, we teach the galaxy what humanity does when its children bleed. And with that, the Armada leapt into the void, carrying a wrath brighter than stars. The annihilation of the Empire's star system. The Zyrith Prime system had known peace for centuries. Its stars shone gold and steady, surrounded by 7 prosperous worlds, each one a monument to the Galactic Empire's arrogance. Citizens bustled through markets. Imperial soldiers patrolled gleaming walkways. Children played beneath floating banners that declared, "The Empire is eternal." They had no idea eternity was about to end. High above Zyrith Prime, Commander Rel Tarkhan stood on the observation deck of the Imperial Citadel, basking in the applause of diplomats congratulating him for rooting out human insurgency. Feasts were being planned. His promotion ceremony awaited. Then the alarm sounded. At first, the tone was soft, confused, the sound used when an asteroid drifted too close. Then the screen shifted. Hundreds of red signatures appeared at the system's edge. Then thousands. A communications officer sprinted in, pale. "Commander, unidentified fleet incoming. Size unknown. Scale unprecedented." Tarkhan frowned. "How many ships?" The officer swallowed. "We can't count. The scanners can't fit them all on one display." Another officer shouted. "They've breached the outer perimeter. They jumped directly into the system." Impossible. No fleet could jump that close to a star. Unless it didn't care about the risk. Unless it intended to burn the entire system anyway. At the system's boundary, space tore open like a wound. The Terran Colossus fleet emerged from the breach, row after row of Titanic vessels filling the void. At the center, dwarfing even the largest Imperial warships, hovered the TSV Leviathan. Admiral Helena Wraith stepped forward on her command deck. "All ships," she said, "initiate full-spectrum warfare stance." The fleet responded in perfect synchronization. Shields unfolded, weapons extended, hulls locked into formation. What entered Zyrith Prime was not an armada. It was an execution. "Admiral," Captain Saren reported, "Imperial fleet scrambling. They're requesting identification." Helena's expression did not change. "Transmit the Saint Aurora recording." Aiden's small voice, fragile, terrified, pleading, broadcast across every Imperial channel. Civilians froze in the streets. Military officers choked. Even battle-hardened commanders hesitated. The message ended. Helena spoke next. Her voice carried system-wide. "Zyrith Prime, hear me. Humanity has come to collect a debt." Then she gave the order. "Engage." The first battle lasted only minutes. Imperial cruisers surged forward in traditional formation. Tight ranks, heavy frontal shielding, predictable firing arcs. Humanity didn't use traditional tactics. The Terran fleet unleashed a tri-layered assault. Graviton lances bent space around Imperial ships, crushing hulls like paper. Kinetic rails fired slugs at relativistic speeds, piercing shields effortlessly. EMP waves detonated simultaneously, frying every system across multiple vessels. Whole wings of Imperial warships simply blinked out. Tarkhan watched, horrified, as the Empire's supposedly invincible armada disintegrated. "This cannot be real," he whispered. "Humans weren't this powerful." An aide stammered, "Commander, what do we do?" For the first time in his life, Tarkhan felt fear. "Survive," he said hoarsely. "If possible." On the Leviathan's bridge, Helena surveyed the chaos with chilling precision. "Push to planetary orbit," she ordered. The ships obeyed, slicing through what remained of the Imperial blockade. As the Terran fleet closed in, Zyrith Prime's surface came into view. Shimmering cities, sprawling capitals, landscapes full of life. Captain Saren hesitated. "Admiral, billions live down there." Helena's voice hardened. "So what did our children?" She raised her hand. "Begin planetary neutralization." The graviton lances activated. Beams of invisible force lanced downward, burrowing into tectonic plates. Planetary crusts cracked like broken glass. Oceans flashed to steam. Towering skyscrapers twisted and collapsed. Entire continents buckled as the core destabilized. Screams rose across Imperial channels, realizations spreading like wildfire. Humanity was not here to conquer. They were here to erase. Every planet in the system became a target. Zyrith 2's sky ignited in seconds. Zyrith IV's orbital cities fell like burning stars. Zyrith 7, the agricultural jewel, shattered into drifting rubble. Human ships moved with surgical brutality, leaving no stronghold, no bunker, no fleet untouched. In orbit above Zyrith Prime, Tarkin's flagship burned, its engines crippled. He stumbled onto the bridge, coughing through smoke, watching the Terran dreadnoughts dismantle everything he had sworn to protect. He opened a channel. "Admiral Wraith," he rasped, "you have made your point. Stop this. Name your terms." The Leviathan answered instantly. Helena appeared on screen, her face carved from stone. "There are no terms." She replayed Aiden's recording again. Tarkhan broke. His knees buckled. Tears stung his eyes. "Please, Admiral, we didn't know." "You knew exactly," Helena said. "You just didn't care." Her final command echoed across the fleet. "Activate the Ares Singularity Array." The weapon charged, space distorting around the Leviathan, gravity warping as a controlled micro-singularity formed within its containment field. Light bent. Matter screamed. The array released a beam that pierced the star of Zyrith Prime. For a moment, silence. Then the star convulsed. Its surface rippled. Its heart collapsed. The golden sphere dimmed, then imploded inward, dragging planets, stations, and ships into a swirling, lightless maw. The entire system died in minutes. Tarkin's final thought as darkness swallowed him. Humans are monsters, but monsters born from love. Then it was over. Where once a thriving star system had shone, now only a cold void remained, a scar on the galaxy. The Terran fleet drifted in the darkness, engines dim, weapons cooling. Helena watched the blackened emptiness. "Justice," she whispered, but her eyes carried no triumph, only the weight of a promise kept. The price of victory. The void where Zyrith Prime once shone drifted like a wound in space, silent, lightless, eternal. The Terran Colossus fleet hovered before it, engines low, weapons cooling, hull scarred by battle, but unbroken. Within the bridge of the TSV Leviathan, Admiral Helena Wraith stood before the panoramic viewport, staring into the abyss she had created. Around her, the crew worked quietly, their earlier fury replaced by something heavier, something colder. Saren approached carefully. "Admiral, confirmation just came through. All Imperial signatures are gone." "Gone," Helena repeated softly, as if testing the weight of the word. "An entire system." Saren didn't reply. There was nothing to say. All the fire, all the righteous fury that had fueled humanity's vengeance, now settled into a grim stillness. The battle was over. The price had been paid. Yet the galaxy would not remain silent. Moments later, a communications officer turned sharply. "Ma'am, multiple transmissions arriving from neighboring systems. They are terrified. Requests for clarification. Demands for explanation. And the Empire's allied states?" Helena asked. "They've gone dark." Helena nodded slowly. Fear was the expected reaction. Fear was the point. Humanity's message had been delivered, but messages have consequences. "Prepare a system-wide broadcast," she said. The officers exchanged uneasy glances. They had followed Helena through wrath and war. But now, the responsibility of being seen weighed heavily. "The galaxy is watching," Saren murmured. "Good," Helena answered. The broadcast activated. Across hundreds of worlds, millions of ships, and countless orbital stations, every screen flashed to life. Helena's image appeared. Helmet off, uniform crisp, eyes haunted but resolute. "I am Admiral Helena Wraith of the Terran Coalition," she began. Across the galaxy, crowds fell silent. 3 days ago, the Galactic Empire attacked a civilian orphanage. They murdered children who had no home, no defense, and no part in any conflict. She let the silence stretch. We responded. Some viewers trembled. Others leaned closer. A few wept quietly, sensing what had already happened. The Zyrostar system has been neutralized. Not conquered. Not occupied. Neutralized. Shockwaves rippled across the galaxy. This was not done to gain territory. Not to seize control. Not to advance political interest. It was done because the Empire crossed the one line humanity will never allow to be crossed. Her voice softened, but somehow became more terrifying. "We protect our children. At any cost." Cameras caught every flicker of emotion on her face. Grief, anger, unyielding conviction. To every species listening, know this. Humanity seeks peace, cooperation, shared progress. But if you harm our young, her eyes hardened into steel, we will answer with the weight of our entire civilization. The broadcast ended, and the galaxy became very quiet. Helena exhaled and leaned back from the console. The message had been sent. The consequences, good or bad, would follow. Saren approached her side. "You think this will deter future threats?" "Will," Helena said. "For some. Others may fear us too much to ever trust us again." "Is that acceptable?" "It has to be." A moment passed between them, heavy with understanding. Then the Leviathan's comm system pinged. "Admiral," the communications officer said, "we're receiving a secure transmission from the Terran Assembly. They want your immediate presence. Patch it through." The holographic chamber ignited with the faces of the Terran Council. President Imani Hale stood at the center, posture solemn. "Admiral Wraith," she began, "the Council acknowledges the completion of Operation Final Mercy. The Empire's central system no longer exists. Their power structure has collapsed." Helena nodded. "The threat is ended." But Hale's expression darkened. "Admiral, there is concern. From our allies. From neutral worlds. even from our own civilians. She hesitated. Some fear that humanity has become too dangerous. Helena's jaw clenched. We acted out of necessity. No one disputes that, Hale replied gently. But you must understand, erasing a star system is something the galaxy will not soon forget. I don't want them to forget, Helena said. I want them to understand us. Her tone, steady but worn, resonated through the chamber. We're not conquerors. We're not tyrants. But we are protectors. And protectors must sometimes be terrifying. Hale's expression softened. Then you must help them see that. Helena nodded slowly. I will. The council disconnected. Saren approached again. So what now? Helena turned to the viewport. The void where a star once burned stared back at her. We rebuild, she said. We grieve. And then we make sure nothing like this ever happens again. The fleet adjusted formation for the return journey, engines gradually warming. One by one, colossal ships aligned with the Leviathan. Saren watched them with a somber pride. We've shown the galaxy what we can do. Helena's eyes softened. Now we must show them who we truly are. Behind her words, there was no pride in destruction, only resolve. A universe scarred by empires and wars needed something to believe in. Humanity had chosen to be its shield, even if that shield had teeth sharp enough to carve through stars. Helm, Helena ordered softly, set course for Sol. The Leviathan turned away from the dead system. The fleet followed. As the stars stretched into luminous streaks, Helena closed her eyes, just for a moment, and whispered, Aiden, they will never harm another child. I promise. With that, the Terran armada vanished into hyperspace, leaving behind a silent reminder carved into the galaxy. Humanity is gentle. Humanity is kind. But if you harm their children, humanity becomes something else entirely.